Unfortunately, there are a lot of misconceptions and assumptions about the process of applying to medical school, let alone surviving and thriving once you're there. And we see a lot of students fall victim to these misunderstandings and misconceptions. So I'd like to tackle one really big and really common one today in an effort to help you avoid making this very common mistake. First, hi, my name is Dr. Sarah Klebe, and I'm an admissions expert at BeMo. So if I had to distill down the wealth of misunderstandings, misconceptions, and assumptions that exist to one that I find really, really pervasive, really, really common, and really detrimental, it would be this one. The assumption that your scores are going to do most of the work for you in terms of the admissions committee reviewing your application. That is to say, the assumption that if you have high marks, and if you have a strong MCAT score, and if your evaluations overall are generally positive, let alone in the sort of, very top percentiles, that is going to be enough to get you in. And that is simply not the case. Every year, we see students with very strong GPAs, very strong standardized test scores not get accepted to medical school. And on the other side, students who don't have the best GPAs or standardized test scores who do get into med school. So while those scores, those numbers, that quantitative data is undeniably important, and it is important, it is not the end-all be-all of your application, and you cannot just rest on those numbers and assume that they're going to get you in. Instead, you need to be thinking holistically about your life, your efforts, your activities, your extracurriculars, all of those things, because that's the approach that most admissions committees are taking, holistic review. And what that means is they're not just looking at your scores. And even in terms of extracurriculars, volunteer work, and things like that, they're not just looking to see that you've done a lot of it. Quantity is not necessarily better than quality in this instance, as in so many instances in life. They want to see that you've taken on meaningful positions that have helped you craft and refine the kinds of qualities and soft skills they are looking for in future medical professionals. So what does that mean? That means you need to demonstrate that you have put yourself in the service of others, and that you've done so because of core convictions that you have, not just because you're ticking off a box that's going to look good on an application. You need to tick those boxes for sure, but what you get out of those experiences and how effectively you can convey that to the admissions committee, that is immensely important. As well, your ability and your ability to and history of working with people from diverse backgrounds, diversity being sort of broadly defined, being able to engage with people who see the world in different ways than you do, who've been able to help you or who have inspired you to consider your own positions, your own values, your own worldviews, and maybe nuance those a little bit. Your demonstration of an ethical responsibility to others. It's not enough to say that you want to ensure that traditionally underserved peoples have access to health care. That's awesome. That's great. And hopefully that is something that you feel and that you believe and that you want to strive for. But have your actions backed that up? Have you taken on volunteer positions or gotten into groups or clubs that actively do work on the ground, grassroots level, to demonstrate your commitment to such ethics and values? Those things are all incredibly important, and they can do a lot of work on your application. Now, that's not the point of doing those things. I mean, it sort of is, of course, because if you have decided that you're going to be a doctor, that is what you are going to do, that's who you are at your core, then of course you need to get in. But demonstrating that piece of your identity, that I'm going to become a doctor, not just because it's what I want to do, but because it's who I am as a person, needs to be demonstrated in your actions. And quite frankly, your scores, your quantitative data, doesn't really say much about that. That doesn't tell the admissions committee much of anything. So please do not rest on your scores. You have to have good scores. That's a sort of a given. But number one, if you're at the top, you can't rely on that to get you in. And if you're not quite in the top, you don't have to throw in the towel just yet, because your story isn't over. Work on that personal statement essay. Work on those secondary essays if you're given the opportunity to. Take the time in your application to really demonstrate that who you are at your core is a person who shares the values, qualities, and priorities of a top medical professional. And that goes far beyond technique. So, I hope that you enjoyed this video and that it was helpful. If so, please do go ahead, like it, share it with a friend who might benefit from it. Be sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube so that you never miss out on videos like this. Follow us on Facebook. Look for us on a variety of social media platforms. If you'd like us to help you, click the link that should appear either above or below this video to go to BeMoMedApplication.com and check out our programs. You can schedule a free initial consultation and we'll set you up with one of our admissions experts to answer any questions you might have and get you started on your preparations. We have programs to suit any of your needs, and we are always happy to work with you to determine which plan is going to support you and your goals most effectively. As ever, thank you so very much for your time. Take good care, and I'll see you next time.